Hi and welcome. I'm the Reverend Dr. Cheryl Gaver, Presbyterian minister of 3 congregations in Eastern Ontario, and I'm also the questioning pastor. Today's question is, why did God make Jesus Jewish? And of course, that answer is part of a very long story called the Bible. And it's why did God use the Jews to bring about the salvation of the world through Jesus? So let's go back a little bit. For a while, I attended synagogue because I wanted to understand a bit of the Jewish roots of Christianity. And the rabbi told a joke one time, don't know if it was a service or a Bible study. And he said, once upon a time, God offered a group of people, I'll be your God and you'll be my people. And then he gave them the 10 commandments and got as far as you shall have no other gods before me and no graven images. And they said, nope, not interested. Thank you, but no thanks. Fair enough. God went to another group of people and said, I'll be your God, you'll be my people. And then they said, well, let's see what you have to offer. So he gave them the 10 commandments and they got as far as don't commit adultery. And they said, nope, sorry, no, thank you. And then God came to the Jews and he offered to become their God. They would be his people. The Jews said, sure, we'll do that. And then he gave them 10 commandments and the Jews went, oh God, but it was too late. Well, that was a joke. And especially since the other groups weren't around at the time of the Jews' first contact with God, at least not to our knowledge. But in another way, it's true. See, God didn't pick people, a group of people to begin with. God picked individuals. He called individual people and gave them the choice to respond or not. He called Noah. Noah heard, responded, ended up building the ark and saving people from a flood. And questions about the flood, another time. And then God, called us others. And one of the people God called was Abraham. And again, Abraham heard God and responded and left home and said, okay, let's see what this means. And God and Abraham got close enough and interacted enough over years. And no, Abraham wasn't perfect. He lied and, passed his wife off as his sister, though there's some possibility that she might have been his half-sister. And he argued with God and things like that. But there was something about Abraham that made God like him. It's like maybe it was the honesty or the integrity in their relationship. And eventually God said, I think you're the one I really want to work with and work through, and decided to change Abraham's name to Abraham, and then committed to work through not just Abraham, but through Abraham's kids, Isaac, and then later Jacob. And the same thing with Jacob. Jacob's a liar, a thief, cheat, whatever. And yet his relationship with God is or was brutally honest. And it takes years of training and discipline and a lot of work on changing Jacob. And finally, God said, I'm going to name you Israel. And that's where we get Israelites. And Jacob/Israel had 12 children who became the ancestors of the 12 tribes. And one of those tribes was Judah, And that's where we get the expression Jews. Now, time goes on, and they end up in Egypt. You can read all those stories in Genesis. And eventually, the Jewish people, or the Israelites, they're sort of known as both, they end up as slaves. Time of Moses, God decides to take them out, bring them back. They're all descendants of Abraham. And he then reveals himself to Moses, frees the Jews through the plagues and all that kind of stuff. And then he establishes the covenant with the Jewish people. And that's when he gives the 10 commandments. Actually, he gives 613 commandments, but they're summed up in the 10 that are summed up in the 2. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. So you've got this relationship with God that begins before they get the commandments. And then you've got that, the commandments being given. So in that way, the joke's valid. But what it really means is God has decided to work within this Jewish family to bring about his big plan of saving the world. And so you start seeing calls, where Jews follow and then they drift away, they're punished, they come back. God keeps calling individuals like David or Isaiah or Jeremiah or Jonah, the different prophets, and he's constantly working. And by the time of Jesus, they've got a strong sense of who they are as God's people, what God expects of them. And for many Jews, it's also a sense of what is their place in the world. You have the sense of tikkun olam, and it's to make the world a better place. And then you have Jesus being born in a Jewish family, being raised as a Jew, and interacting with us. And what it means is you've got this, Jesus doesn't pop in from nowhere. He pops in as a Roman. Hi, I'm Jesus. I'm God. And they're going, huh? Which God? Okay. He pops in as a Britain, the Celts. Hi, I'm Jesus. No one would pay attention. Doesn't mean much. There's no relationship with God, no sense of identity. He comes as Jew, and they already know all about God. They know what God wants. They know what God would like to do. And what God's trying to do is to restore creation, bring paradise back. But that means transforming us. And that means somehow transforming us while respecting our free will. And getting that message across so others will hear it, understand it, and respond. It had to be the Jews, because they were the only ones that had this long-lasting relationship with God, where God had made it abundantly clear what his will was, what kind of God he was, and what his plan for the future of human beings was. Couldn't be anyone else. So for people who like to pretend Jesus was not a Jew, that he might have been a Roman or a Greek, sorry, no. There's no story among them about a God who cares, a God who is involved with human beings to bring about paradise, a better world, a God who cares what happens to individual human beings. Those aren't stories that you'll find in Greek or Roman mythology, but they're stories that you find in the Bible, written by Jews for the world? So that's the answer for today's question. Once again, I'm the Reverend Dr. Cheryl Gaver, and thank you for joining the Questioning Pastor today. Take care. God bless. See you next time.